we work together so much and we speak together so much, and people started to call us Rolex Flemitsky. So we have like merged into one individual.
Yeah,
so
and we
we
just
don't-
decided here, so remember all this, that the book that we're going to write, the writer is going to be Rolex Fleminski. We think that's a good...
And a surprise, there will be a third speaker today, Czub.
Hey!
So at some point we're going to pause and Michał will explain some practical aspects, his experience of actually applying Org Topologies. We met at Agile by example, and we were actually impressed by how much thinking you put into applying Org Topologies. So it's a way to learn from you and pay you back for that. Yes, thank you.
Very good.
Who has seen us at Agile by example this year?
One,
You were
two.
there, you were there. Okay, not so many people.
Yeah.
Who has visited the website already, deciding
Oh,
where to go?
okay.
Yeah, so
Okay.
we're gonna ask you some questions. Can you explain like what is actually?
No, just like this. Imagine you're at this party, okay, and people ask you like, what is the best thing that you've learned over the past few months? And of course you want to make a good impression. You're going to talk about Org Topologies, but
Sure.
what do you say? Anyone?
What is Org Topologies?
What is it?
Anybody wants to try?
It's okay to fail.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Just to. It's a map.
It's a map.
Okay.
Excellent.
It's a what? It's a good one. What else is it?
Or maybe it's about organization.
Yeah, it's a map about organizations.
And topologies.
And topologies.
Wow.
Ecosystem.
Ecosystems.
Yay. It's good.
Okay. Yeah. So it's kind of. Is that? Agile?
Yeah.
Yes.
So-
you guys are good. You guys
Hey,
are good. We're getting there.
We're done.
We're
Let's
getting
go.
there. Yeah. Yes. Thanks. Yeah. We just can go to a bar.
Okay. Well, let's get started talking about Agile.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Agile.
So we want to take you back because we are old dudes, actually. We are old, as in that
We're
we've
100 years old together.
together. And we've got like many years in IT industry.
You made it.
When I started, the word Agile wasn't even invented yet. And I grew into Agile during my career. And actually, when we combine our energy and we think about what Agile is and what it means to us, we came up thinking about how good, how good things are in the Agile space, that we could maybe give a contribution with all the knowledge that we've collected in all these years, going to teaching classes, going to companies and seeing how they're working and what they're doing and understanding their problems. Because we never, as consultants, go to companies where everything is fine, nice and dandy, It's like we're cold when there is a problem, and then they want to pay money to get rid of that problem. So it means that we always see the dirty stuff.
Yeah, so I started my coding career like here.
Well, I started my coding career somewhere here.
Nah. Here, like a few years before Agile, and then some few years later, I discovered like extreme programming and test-driven development. So my entrance to the Agile world was from engineering practices.
Okay, I'll be honest. I started in 1985 as a COBOL developer.
Wow.
One of those.
Yeah. So why are we telling this story? Like, why is it important to know the history of Agile?
Well, as you can see, 2001 Agile Manifesto was, became popular in the world, or at least people started to hear about it. And actually, that's when this big wave started rolling through through product development, through software development. We were stuck into this classical way of developing software like we've learned from building houses and engineering, because it was an engineering trade thing, skill, wasn't it? And then the Agile wave came and brought us all this new stuff, all these new ways of working. So this is really a big revolution. That's why this wave is so big on the picture. But what happens now? When you go and ask around about Agile, is everybody still as enthusiastic, that nice blue wave? No. Right.
Not anymore. It's like they've seen it all already. They've did 288 daily scrums this year, and they've posted 288 post-its on the wall this sprint, and nothing really changed. And like they kind of developed this negative feeling towards Agile, Scrum, Scrum Masters, Agile coaches, all of it, because well, some things changed, but not maybe drastically.
Yeah, yeah. I think
So we're not bashing Agile. We are Agilists and we believe in those values.
we are researching.
Yeah.
We are trying to understand what went wrong. Okay. And thinking about what went wrong, one of the items, one of the issues, is actually I think we really didn't understand how deep, complex a change is towards becoming agile. We thought like, yeah, right? We just create a couple of teams, add a Scrum Master and a Product Owner. We work with a backlog. We just call it Scrum and we're done. The whole company is Scrum and we're Agile. So that didn't really work, did it? We were talking Agile. We were really maybe pretending with the sticky notes we were doing Agile, but were we really Agile? Did we understand what the hell we were doing? No.
And then as the Agile wave grew and kind of conquered the world, somehow larger and larger companies started to look around and apply Agile. So maybe Agile worked nicely in a one team company, but if you have like more than one team, 2 teams, 3 teams, 200 teams, boom.
You need a framework.
You need something else. Yeah, and then there was this boom of frameworks. You guys know this, about maybe 10-ish years ago, 15 years ago. All these frameworks starting to pop up. Some of them are quite old already, safe. And I think all the companies have already tried safe in this world.
Well, it's
and like,
market leader, right?
it's a market leader, and I think in the next 5 years, they will conclude it did not really solve all the problems and was looking for something else. And those entrepreneurs who know this will happen, they put new things on the market with typically something with a very bright modern colors to attract our attention.
Well, I see some similarities, but
Well, this is super bright. You cannot miss this one,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, you
It's
can't.
right into your face.
yeah.
You guys see these new frameworks popping up, like unFix, Team Topologies. What else is there? Is out there? Spotify model
But
is kind
that's
of
a little bit
already
older already.
oldish,
Yeah.
and with the Spotify firing 1,500 people last week, starts to smell a little, you know. But yeah, a lot of companies.
Wait a minute.
What do you mean?
Wait. Oh, there's a new Spotify model. Yeah.
They don't-
Version 2.0.
Yeah. So we are not against frameworks. We are, as Roland said, we are researching, trying to understand what happens on the market, and we see this is happening on the market. And we go to different companies, big consultants, and every company will say we are doing this framework or that framework. So people use this framework language, HFDS.
It's not a dirty word.
No, it's
No.
not.
No. What does it mean? Well, you coined it. Let's hear it.
It's a human framework dependency syndrome.
Okay. All together now. Human framework dependency.
It's
syndrome.
like this belief people have developed that, oh, if I don't have a framework, I cannot do agile, be agile. I really need to hang on something better with bright colors. Then success is there. But frameworks are not bad. This is like a summary of the wisdom a lot of people have actually accumulated. So it's good. So frameworks are not bad. And I guess it's good to start applying maybe even a Spotify model or even SAFe instead of trying to invent things from scratch. But the goal is not to implement a framework. All of you know this. The goal is to get better at what you're doing, make your customers happier, employees happier. If a framework can take you there, fantastic. If you applied a framework, but it kind of took you to the wall, probably it's wrong framework, or maybe you misused it, but maybe it's time to look around and say, hey, there's another framework, maybe it will take me to a better place.
What would be the difference with that other framework, right? Would it be
Yeah.
Would it be really revolutionary different? Would it solve my problems that I have with all
Maybe.
these agile teams trying to collaborate
Yeah.
together in a different way?
Maybe. But the problem is that they clutter our view because they are so bright and they want to be sold and bought. And we tend to forget, like, actually, why in the first place we picked that framework. What we were thinking.
Well, McKinsey told me.
Yeah. Or it looked good on the website.
Everybody does it.
Or everybody does it.
Yeah. So the problem with frameworks is not that they're frameworks because we need them. The problem is the framework thinking that we see, which is we really need a framework and we need a standard that everybody uses, and then our problems will be solved and we will be successful. That last part we think is a problem. You agree?
Yep.
Yep. Well, here he is, the smiling salesman. Okay.
Framework dealer.
The framework dealer. Yes.
I want to buy my framework. Right?
Yeah. So we have these people who are very good at selling frameworks, and the people who decide on choosing frameworks, they buy it from.
And
these
that's all
people.
right, because like if you need to change a company, like because this one, I don't know how many teams this bank has. Anybody knows?
How many people work in this bank?
Anybody works in this bank?
5,000, 10,000?
Anybody is a client of
No?
this bank?
Yeah, okay.
Is it a good bank?
Yeah?
We are recorded, so.
It's a good bank. A lot of people work here, just for the recording, right? Yeah, it was not my point, right? But I mean, if you need to change like a company with like 300 teams, you'd better use some proven method. That's
Yeah.
why frameworks can actually help you to get somewhere.
And these reliable people who go to banks, who also go to other banks and know which frameworks are being implemented and know how to do it and how to make things
Yeah.
work, it's this network of people referring to each other, and I mean, it makes sense. I'm not going to throw my bank with thousands and thousands of people into an abyss of uncertainty. I'd rather have a framework that has proven to be working for other banks or similar companies in the same industry, because that's a safe bet. Oh,
Yeah,
hello,
he came.
welcome. It's a safe bet. That was a, maybe, I don't know, a joke.
Next slide, please.
Okay.
Who was that? Owning
owning.
versus renting.
Oh, hello.
How do you guys understand this slide?
That you do not care about something that much more yours.
If it's
Exactly.
not yours, have you guys seen this picture on your streets? I
That's
see
horrible,
people
isn't it?
doing like horrible things with the scooter, like
Yeah.
throwing them in the bushes and all that. I wonder if they would do the same with their own scooter.
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
They would wash it, polish it. They'd be taking care of it. Okay.
So what are you trying to say with this picture?
Well, if I would be working in a company and there would be this announcement that we're going to implement or enter in an agile transformation program, and that I will be told to go into work into a certain Scrum team from a certain moment in time, and what Scrum is, and I will get some education, it feels like I don't have a choice, and change is pushed onto me, and I can only say, okay, if the company says that we're going to do this, then I will do this. But it feels like I'm renting the idea of somebody else instead of I am owning the idea. It's not me who has really a part in making, creating, or understanding this framework. I'm just a victim, okay? I'm being asked what to do.
And then of course, if it doesn't work, you would blame the ones who pushed that on you. Like, oh, actually, from the day one, I didn't believe that your Scrum thing worked, and now look
Yeah.
at this mess
There you go.
in the code base.
Told you so.
Told you
Huh?
so? Yeah.
So it's the external salesman who brings in the solution from outside to our company where we want to solve a problem. And actually, we should solve our own problem inside the company and not ask for somebody else externally to solve our.
Yeah, so we were researching this topic while like Agile is kind of failing and other things failed before. And people actually say all those things had failed before and they will fail, not because they are good or bad, because they are not helping to own. If it came from the within, if you understand it, if you have a power to change it, improve it, adapt it, then you will take care of it and then it will learn. But if it's a borrowed idea, it can be design thinking, lean UX, agile, safe, less, whatever. All of them will fail because they are put on us. And eventually,
Well, you know what the problem is? We will not polish it and clean it all the time. We will not make it grow with us, right? We will just step aside and say, hey, it doesn't work, and I don't like it. I didn't like it at
I
all.
think
Yeah?
we got the message delivered. Oh, what's that?
You wanted the next slide. Well, here it is.
Never
This is
seen it
Agile.
before.
Now we're Agile, okay? This is how we do it.
Mm. It's an old version. Yeah.
Yeah,
We should
yeah.
update the slides, right? It's yeah, yeah. Sometimes you like, where is the customer on this picture?
Yeah,
Yeah,
or
or like-
ooh, hey, it doesn't work. Oh, okay.
Where's the customer in the picture? Where are the teams in the picture? Like,
Oh yeah,
there's
some of the teams are here. These are teams, right?
Oh wow.
yeah. So we have
Yeah.
teams. Yeah, we have teams.
Agile teams are there.
So what do we do with those teams, right? We're working on those teams. This has been our jobs as Scrum Masters, Agile coaches over the past years. We were really investing in trying to make the teams go faster, didn't we?
And we're not bashing safe, actually. I mean, maybe it helps you to make your teams faster. And I worked as a Scrum Master 6-7 years full-time in 3 different companies in my career. And my job was to, well, here are your 2 teams, Alexei. Your goal is to make those teams better. And I would go to conferences, classes, read books, code. My job was to make the teams faster. So that was the mission of a lot of Agile coaches, Scrum Masters, managers.
Absolutely. I've seen a make them more predictable. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes. Yeah. So our focus for improving Agile was focusing on the teams in the lower end of this map. We've really been working hard on this. And actually, because we were focusing so much on the teams themselves,
Being fast, autonomous, predictive.
the overall result was actually that we created fast teams that were sort of out of control. They were not coordinated enough together as a whole group to be able to really deliver value to the
Every
customer.
of these teams is potentially very fast and potentially is
Yeah.
very autonomous. But if we look at them as a system, somebody said ecosystems, even just a fancier word for systems, like a living system. If you look at the system of teams, they're not autonomous, they're not independent, they're not fast, they're not predictable because they dependent on each other. And now, what do we do with them? How do we manage this system of teams?
So this is all the learning path over the last 20 odd years, right? All the learning that we've done in trying to make things work at scale with Scrum teams, with Agile teams.
Right.
And well, here's the picture again. This is a newer version, actually.
Yeah.
And what is this? Actually, this whole construct is an attempt to try to be an adapter between the place where we make things and the goals that we have, that we're trying to achieve. This whole thing is trying to connect the people that do the work to the people that say, this is what we want to achieve, okay? This is the goals that we have. And actually, we feel it's maybe a little bit too complicated for an adapter. There should be easier ways to connect the teams to objectives.
It says riding the first wave of the Agile revolution.
Yeah, that's what it says. This was the first wave, we think. Yeah? Now, this is how it felt, riding the first wave of the Agile revolution. But was it really that good? Maybe it was more like this. If we are really realistic, we think like, yeah, we were on this wave. But, you know, we were really busy trying to understand Agile, really trying to get understanding of what Scrum teams are and how they work. We were focusing on the teams, trying to make them faster, but the whole system was actually, it's still not working optimally. So scaling is still an issue. Which leads to believe that already 10 years ago, people are saying that Agile is actually dead and it will
that's
never
a real
work.
picture. That's a real picture from a post on LinkedIn we found. And these days, like a lot of people actually post this thing like Agile is dead. We need like Agile 2 now.
I see it all the time.
And we need something else. We need to reinvent Agile. We need to burn Agile. We need to do something else. But the new thing will fail again because we're not actually understood it. We didn't own it. So it's not about Agile, it's about us, right? It's about us understanding how to apply systems thinking. So we don't believe Agile is dead. We believe Agile is alive and kicking, but probably we need to start thinking of the next wave of Agile, how to roll things a bit more systemically, how
Yeah.
to apply systems thinking and ecosystem design into that.
And actually, that is where we feel that our contribution is. It's trying to make everybody see the next step. Now, before we do that, there's first this happy message of, now that we have all these frameworks, and you said Spotify and Safe, and we saw all these others, this new era of frameworks that is coming up is very promising. You know, the unFix, Team Topologies. It feels like we get more freedom
Do it yourself, right?
to do it yourself, to create ownership for building our own. And that's exactly what we were talking about, like one of the reasons why it failed before, because we did not have that opportunity. So this is a bright future, we think.
Yeah. But we're going to pause here
Yes.
and give a stage to Michał to share his experience for like 23 minutes.
My name is Czub, and I'm an Agile coach based here in Warsaw. And I had an opportunity to meet those lovely chaps at ABE, which was Agile by Example, based in Warsaw, when they had their speech about Org Topologies. And later on, I grabbed them in the lobby and discussed a few examples from my experience, how I'm using Org Topologies. And we had a lovely discussion where we came to a conclusion that we have something in common, that we believe that there is something unique, fairly unique about Org Topologies, that it brings something to the table that's not present. And how I feel about it is that Org Topologies is super easy to understand, which is useful because you have to deal with all the possible audiences when you're trying to implement change. And having something that is easy to understand feels great. Second thing, it gives you something fairly holistic, no matter the team, the industry, but also the type of your recipients, right? You're going into a discussion and you can look holistically at all the teams in your company or domain or anywhere else. So what I would like to do throughout the next 20 minutes is to start with a short story that will give us an icebreaker and also a useful context for later. And then I would like to tell you a story of how I use Org Topologies on a daily basis in a way of a framework. So if you'd like to grab this framework and take it back to your companies, maybe it will prove useful to you as well. Okay? Cool. So for the context, it will be 2-3 minute story. It was holiday, it was summer, and I was at my parents' house. I went into garden, and there is my little daughter Olivia, 5 at the time, my nephew, 5 at the time, and second nephew, 3 at the time, playing at the flowers, and there is my mother. And she says, Michał, oh, it's great to see you. Can you take care of them for a minute? And I said, yeah, sure. I will finish the dinner, and I will call back to you. OK, I can do that. So I thought, what a better time to spend some time with children than to play a game. So I suggested, OK, so do you want to play the game? And they are, woo, yeah, let's play a game. And I'm saying, OK, it will be a simple game. I'm giving you 5 minutes, and whoever brings me the highest number of white stones wins. That's it. And then Olivia raises her hand. Daddy, daddy, but grandma said, but the guys are already laser focused. Olivia, stones. We need to get stones. So she fell silent. So I kicked off 5 minutes, first 2 minutes. They went. It was super easy to find them. They were very effective. I got 3 piles in front of me. The next 3 minutes, they started to compete because they had limited resources. So there was some fights. There was some crying. They were going further away. They were taking some stones and taking them to the pond to wash them, to make them really white, because only white stones win. And after 5 minutes, I had children that were dirty, that were sweaty, that were after some cry. And my mother came back and said, OK, the dinner is ready. Did they finish taking the weed from the flowers? This is the moment I understood that they were left with a task to take weed. You know, the weed, the little green things from the flowers, that is actually taking energy from the flowers so they can grow healthy. So in this situation, I had angry grandma. I had children that were not ready for the dinner. I had task that was not done, and I was in the middle of that myself, happily accountable to be blamed for all of this. So why it's important, and why it's of any relevance to what I'm going to tell you. This is sometimes how I feel when I'm going into workshops and someone tells me, Michał, we have this team, or we have this group of teams, which are not behaving the way we want them to. And usually how it ends, and I will get there in a second, is that when you give people some frames and expectations, they are super rational beings. They will adapt their way and their behavior to those frames. Hence, they will get laser focused and they will be super creative, super competitive to achieve what those frames give them. And most likely, the fourth part, they will be super not focused on anything else, no matter how valuable or objectively important it is, even if they were explicitly told to do that by grandma. So, getting to the framework, that might prove useful to me. I had a discussion recently, 2-3 months ago, with head of HR. And what she said to me is that she would like to talk to me about her team. She said, I think this team is not behaving like they should. And I said, OK, this will be a messy discussion if we do not get any frames. So I thought, why not to use this frame, right? Because it seems like a proper frame to use. So I started with drawing those two axes. And most of you probably know that in a nutshell, you can have task focus, feature focus, sub-product focus, and product focus. And those good gentlemen will tell you more about it in a few minutes. And you can have individuals. You can have, I think it's called functional groups. Yes. Multi-skilled teams and multi-learning teams. And I explained just that. I didn't go any deeper. And I asked this HR manager, so where do you think your team is? And she said, well, I think they are here. I think they are multi-skilled. I have a lot of good skilled people in there. And they are doing sub-products. OK? And how do they behave? Well, they actually are doing tasks, and they never think about the big picture. And they never talk to one another. OK, I thought, interesting start. You know, it's a good start. We need to start somewhere. So the first question I had was, if you believe they are here, what products do you do? And she said, well, when I'm talking to my director, we have 3 things to do. We have to recruit people on demand. We have to think about employer branding, how our company is perceived on the market. And we have to, from time to time, organize some conferences and go there and do some promotion. OK, do you ever mention that to your teams? Now that you mentioned that, not really. OK. Maybe there is something in there, right? So I said about them being multi-skilled. How eager are they on daily basis to collaborate with one another by the nature of their tasks? Well, not really, because what they are getting is tasks to hire people, and each one of them is skilled individually. I have a person who knows about COBOL developers. I have a person knowledgeable about testers. I have a person, and so on, and so on, and so on. So is there any reason why they should collaborate? Not really. OK, that might be another idea. So I thought, OK, so let's ramp this discussion to another level. Let's talk about how your teams perceive this situation. And we were talking about 4 areas. There was company KPIs, so what company expects and measures the teams on. There was, OK, there was practices, career path, and there was communication. And what did I mean by that? I asked her, so from your manager perspective, so the director of the Warsaw office, what are you being measured on as a team? She said, well, mainly on throughput. And I said, what does that mean? Well, we have to deliver 2 things. We have to deliver candidates in 3 days, in the first 3 days, we have to deliver at least 30 candidates or more. This is our KPI. OK, another KPI. How many candidates can we get in the first 2 weeks? So 2 weeks. And I said, OK, what are the other KPIs? Well, to be honest, those are the only 2 that are worth mentioning because there's laser focus on those 2. OK. What practices do you have? Well, we have daily, and we have planning. Anything else? Any solutionizing? Any workshops? No, not really. We have daily and planning. And how does that work? Well, during daily, people tell me what they did yesterday and what they will do today. And during planning, they do the same, but in longer time period. Brilliant. How focused are everyone else when one person is speaking? I don't know. They talk to me, so I listen. OK, great. Good start, right? So career, how do you measure your people? Because we are now talking from their perspective, right? They are hearing we have to deliver a lot of candidates in 3 days. And within the first 2 weeks, we have to deliver as much as possible, as many as possible to the room with hiring manager. On daily basis and planning basis, we know what happens. So when it comes to career, how do you communicate it to your guys? Well, I'm telling them that they need to hit those. And if they do, they will get their bonus. And they can get some trainings. Brilliant. What kind of trainings? Any that they bring to the table, as long as it gets us better here. OK, so laser focus is still here. And about communication, how the work is getting to your team. She said, well, either we have service desks when someone requests hiring, or someone comes to me and I translate it to tasks and deliver back to the team. So that being said, and that was the easy part, right? I brought it back here and I said, so now that we established that, looking at company KPIs, which behavior do they promote? And she said, yeah, now I see that it's this behavior. There's no appetite to collaborate, and there's no appetite to do anything beyond tasks. There's no appetite to think about how I can tackle the challenge and get better. And about the second one, and about third one, and about fourth one, it was the same, right? And that was the moment that was natural for me and really tricky for my stakeholder. She came with a problem that she believes team is here. And she said that she believes team should behave like it was here. But very quickly, we realized that team is behaving like it was here. And there was a good reason for that. So now the tough question. I said, so what's the goal? Why should you change it? And you know, we are 4 months later, and she didn't get to a conclusion why she should change environment around the team and why the team should change their behavior. Because in the end, this whole discussion made her realize that there is no reason to do it. Company expectation is that the team should be as quick as possible. And company doesn't care about anything else. The problem was mainly in her expectation. She expected the team to be innovative, to be collaborative, to come up with brilliant ideas for how to do employer branding better and how to optimize the process. But everything was working for the team to just very quickly do the process that was already established. And you know, 4 months later, like I said, there is no change. And the only thing that changed was her expectations that the team is here because this is the optimal way to work with their tasks. And I don't perceive this as a major achievement for myself, because it may be a bit of a failure, because I think that people are much happier if they are here. But like I said at the beginning with children, if you give people frames, they will adjust to those frames. And company had a very clear idea what they should deliver, and they optimized to deliver that. At the same time, a second example, and this one will be a short one, and this is a bit more of a success story. I had another discussion with another domain. They had 4 teams. Similar discussion, but different expectation. The expectation was that they actually wanted the team to be product focused. They wanted the team to become proficient in mortgage, to understand mortgage process, to understand clients and their needs. And we agreed that they should be B2. And we agreed how they should reach to B2. And on top of that, we discussed a lot of roles that were outside of the team and a lot of forums that were present. What that means? It turned out that they had 4 teams that they wanted to have to be feature teams, product-oriented feature teams. And they had, I think, 9 roles that were outside of those teams, RTs, coordinators, you name it. And also, I think 7 forums, BA forum, something forum, something forum, something forum. And that brought us to the discussion. Well, if you want to have teams that are B2, that are fairly independent, that are focused on products, that are super knowledgeable, do you need all of that? And that was another discussion that triggered different kinds of decisions. Why I'm telling that is getting back to children, right? Get the right frames for your purpose. And when it comes to my experience with using Org Topologies, those discussions are super messy, and it's super hard to reach good conclusion. However, if you have a right frame to conduct those discussions, you can fairly quickly get to an idea what the right frame should be. And if you have the right frame, there is a better chance that you will get the right results. And the person who sets the frames actually, in my mind, is fairly well accountable for some of the results that are being met or not being met. And this is all that I wanted to share with you today, taking it to the ground level from more conceptual level that guys are presenting. Thanks a lot.
So this was a very nice, brief, condensed introduction to Org Topologies, which is essentially these 2 maps, which can give you very, as you can see, radical transparency on where your teams are and where you want them to go, and then maybe discuss some steps. So saying we are Agile or we are doing safe or X doesn't really convey the message. Saying, oh, our teams are here and we want them to be here, well, that can trigger very much detailed discussions on things.
But we've got more than here and here.
Yeah.
So we have a map that has, on the horizontal axis, shows the completeness of skills or capabilities.
In a unit.
In a unit. So it could be a person, could be a department or a team. How complete is that team? Meaning, in terms of Scrum, if it's a team, can this team deliver an end-to-end, deliver done, a product? Okay, that's this. So here they're not capable of doing that at all. They have a very limited set of capabilities. And here they would have all capabilities.
And learning on daily
and
basis.
Learning, yeah. Vertically, we map how big is that scope of work that they're dealing with.
Or ownership, if you will.
Yeah.
So we all understand very well this axis horizontal because we can understand, well, you have an individual, like you have, I don't know, data scientist. You hire a data scientist, like the first one in the company. Where do you put him? Well, we're going to put him in a corner, give him a desk, and when you have a task for data scientist, then you just go and talk to this guy and give him a task. You don't need him explain your project, your problem, just give him a task. So here in this corner, Y0 will be lone workers doing some useful work.
Like the people over there.
Like people in Michal's story.
Yeah.
Well, now you hire second and third data scientists. Where do you put them? Well, you have different choices, right? But some companies would put them together, form a department, because now the first guy can be a team lead of these guys, and now they actually can balance work better. If somebody goes to a vacation, 2 others can back him, her up. So now you move into this direction where here you have this functional unit of 3 data scientists who can actually do broader work. But still, if you have like other teams, maybe doing Agile and Scrum, they will have dependency on these guys, right? If that work requires data science. So the Agile movement, the Agile transformation, the Agile stance we do would be to say, hey guys, please join other teams, right? Because if the team has back-end, front-end testing already, now we can actually add the data science skills to this team. This team becomes even cooler, even more autonomous. So that's how we actually create better teams. So here in these two boxes, in this box, there will be teams who have a lot of skills. Maybe not all of them, maybe still with some dependencies, but they will be already cross-functional, like Michał explained. And even if we take them further, they will keep learning. Maybe this sprint, they experiment with AI without actually having a special AI person in the team. They will just learn things. We all understand this movement because all of the Agile coaches, Scrum Masters, our job was to create cross-functional teams.
Yeah, but if you keep the teams to be eating only tasks, right? Then there is this limitation. We will need to prepare the work and hand off tasks so they can work on their, well, whatever they need to build, and then, well, they're done, and some other team will pick up their work probably to integrate it into a larger whole, because listen here, they're very low on the map, okay? Now, wouldn't it be nice, I see colors coming up, wouldn't it be nice that we would try to make those people work on larger things than just tasks? What if we can create people, put them together in a team, and make such type of teams that they can understand features?
And this is where this magical moment of Scrum happens. You put different people with different skills together before they had to be given tasks. But now what you need to do, you can just now give them a problem, maybe a feature request, or just, hey, meet the customer, he has this problem. And this team, cross-functional team, can actually now talk to a customer and together fulfill end-to-end some customer requests. So our Agile, the first wave of Agile, you can say, was taking lonely workers, doing projects, and just understanding the tasks, moving them into these boxes, where now these are autonomous teams, some more autonomous and complete, some still dependent on each other, but at least being able to work on the features, not on the tasks. In this team, they can decide on their own who's going to work on what. And now, in this era, what the manager does, like the HR lady in your example, well, she has to talk to stakeholders, chop the work into tasks, give this task, control, manage. In A2, A3 boxes, we have the names for the boxes, so Michał was referring to B2 in his example. At A2, A3 boxes, manager doesn't need to do this internal task management. The teams are self-managing in Scrum. So now what does the manager do? Woo, not nothing. But at least, well, I would say the goal of the manager who has teams here is to make sure the teams are solving the right problems.
So prioritization.
So essentially prioritizing your backlogs. That's what the role of a product owner.
To be in Y0. And she took a conscious decision.
Sure. Like here, and we are happy, and we're happy for everybody being in any box they want, as soon as it's a thoughtful decision. Just for some companies, it's just the way things are. They don't know any better. They never thought of this. Like they never learn how to manage different things. We just are trying to create more transparency and educate managers and org developers that actually there are more things on the palette than work.
Yeah, so instead of adopting a framework and looking at, okay, so what kind of configuration do I need to make? Which teams do I need? Or maybe just apply the framework to the existing structure, which happens a lot, and not change a lot. We propose to slow down a little bit, and we made this, what we think, easy accessible map of configurations of elements that you can use to start building your own ecosystem, if we can call it that way, of teams, of groups of people that together can deliver value.
So maybe it will look like this. You have back-end, front-end QA groups. We would classify them as Y1 because they work on tasks, but they are groups, but they don't understand clients and problems. That's why typically they are given an external thinker attached to them, business analysts,
Who can think in features?
who can think in features, but not really in product strategies. And that's why, of course, you would need somebody who is a strategist, maybe a group of product managers driving this whole thing. So this map, we typically advise not to map individual teams. Well, you have just one team, it's fantastic, but if you have multiple teams who need to deliver value together, you can map the full ecosystem and like, okay. And now, maybe, you thought, how about I take these guys and I put Scrum on them, like a magical dust, and they will go here. Well, they will not go here if this person keeps giving them tasks. So the agile transformation is not just about moving individual boxes. It's about seeing these dynamics of relationships and saying, okay, we have some other picture, right? Maybe this guy needs to merge in the team, and now they have this business analysis, if you move away, the skills. This is how maybe we can actually create the real team. So trying to help people think in systems, and systems are parts and interactions between the parts.
There was a question.
To better understand this map, can you share an example of C0?
Yes. We will share example of C3 in the beginning, and then maybe it will answer the question.
Yeah. Another question.
Yeah, do you recommend first to go right or up or?
We recommend you own your move,
Yeah.
right? Because in some companies, going right is right. They don't need teams to be, thinkers and solve bigger problems. They're okay just having great autonomous teams, like Spotify would be this model where you have a lot of autonomous teams. They talk a lot about, autonomy. Some are going up. We are at a CLP class with you this week.
CLP means?
Certified less practitioners. So in a less world, we want actually going diagonal. We, of course, would like to create better teams, but also give them bigger problems. Not just components, not features, but at least parts of the product or maybe the whole product. That's why that C3 archetype is the idealist.
Yeah, the unicorn. No, well,
the
not
unicorn
Yeah, maybe.
of all the archetypes.
Yeah, the best one. C3 means perfection. Okay, so maybe if we look at what C3 is, imagine everybody understands the whole product that we built, and everybody in the company, maybe as groups together, but the whole company really knows has the skills to work anywhere in the system. Okay, that's too far-fetched, maybe. We have 50, 60 applications and components. Nobody can know everything about these components. Okay, so maybe for your context, that perfection goal is too far-fetched to change everything in your organization to try to make everybody know everything. But still, it's like Scrum. It's a perfection vision. That means that it might be something you will never reach, but it's like a compass, a beacon towards which
it's being rich and healthy at the same time.
Rich and healthy.
Not a bad dream. We all are not completely rich, not completely healthy, but it still would be nice to go that direction. Small company, like a idealistic startup with 5 guys and a dog in a garage.
That's
like owning the vision. It's a signal. Interestingly, and I know we maybe are a bit too long on this. Interestingly, so when the company is born, if it's a startup, like 3 guys really believe in the idea, they understand the full product, right? They even maybe bigger, they understand the problem, and so they are super high on the map, and actually they work as a team, and because they don't know how to solve the problem, they will do some prototyping and learn what customers don't want, and they will have to adapt, so they're actually learning a lot. So they are super advanced on this axis, they're learning as a team, and they're super advanced on that axis because they owning the full thing. as time goes, they start hiring, they become richer, company gets more clients, more stakeholders, they start creating maybe teams or maybe departments. And the company goes like, boom, boom. And now,
Well,
5 years
instead
later,
of 5 people, they have 500 people.
and 5 years later, you have these departments, and nobody understands the vision, the problem, and everybody's, it's my job,
Yeah.
it's not my job, it's my repository, not my repository. So this agile movement is kind of going back to that dream of becoming
At least that's how we see it.
young and flexible again.
We think agile was like the promise to bring youth again to organizations, to become as adaptive and as flexible as these small startups that are growing everywhere.
Can I go with the story a little bit further?
Yes, you want, if you want. Stakeholders come.
And they hire CEO,
Yes.
and he has no idea what was the original idea.
Okay.
They are going somewhere,
Yeah.
and nobody, including CEO, doesn't have this vision.
Yes.
Happens.
Yes. Yeah. So so the idea is there comes this CEO, and the CEO doesn't have a clue where they're going to, and really doesn't understand organizational design, right? Now, what we think, we would like to make everybody an organizational developer. Okay? Having this simple map gives you the opportunity to just look at, where am I now? It's like, what is a map for? Okay? To navigate. So maybe you could bring your CEO in a room and have a few words on this map and see, like, where are we now?
Like
And
Michał did with the HR
like
lady,
Michał did
right?
with the HR lady. And where do you think you want to be
When you grow up, right?
when you grow up? Because being highly adaptable, this is a message the CEO would like to hear, means that you can switch direction anytime with your company with no additional cost. It will not take you a reorganization to be able to pick up a new product or a new idea. Okay? So if you want to become more adaptive, and we are all here now, why don't we try to find a way to get closer and bring the ingredients into our organization to really make a difference? You know, to become faster, to deliver on that agile promise that we had before.
And we like today still to use the time and give you ideas how you can create those what we call higher archetypes. So we call these are lower archetypes. These are higher archetypes. We believe it's nice to be there. We help several companies to be there. It's fantastic. People actually can solve problems. Would you imagine that? And talk to customers directly. You know, like we do this when we're outside of the office, but in the office from 9 to 5, we need to, you know, do the tasks. So that's kind of giving people more freedom.
Lower end, making teams faster. First agile wave.
Flow, focus on flow. Faster, 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 faster.
Going up across the line from A to B is the second wave of the agile revolution. And that is difficult. That is hard. Everything currently set up in your organization, the whole ecosystem will try to stay where it is, including the CEO who doesn't know what's going on. Yep. So
that's the first wave.
So that's the first wave.
I'm just trying to find slides which you are describing, right? Yeah.
We prepared another angle for today, but we think it's better to move towards the basics of the higher archetypes, maybe?
How about we give you guys like a 7-ish minutes?
Oh.
But by the way, this is a QR code leading to this website. You can download this PDF, print it.
With a lot of description and
or
information
just
on what
do
it's
it
about.
tomorrow
Yeah.
in the office and have a discussion with your colleagues where we are and where we're going. Maybe we just give you a few minutes just to talk to each other, maybe form some triads and have a discussion where you believe your company is, which archetypes you have.
If you have a very big company, maybe do
Like a small
smaller
department, maybe the teams you know of, and maybe where is the direction? If you are in an agile, anybody is in an active agile transformation now? A lot of you.
Yeah, yeah.
So like
Where are
you
you
would
going?
say, what is this direction? Saying we want to be agile doesn't mean anything to me. If Roland calls me and say, I have this client, they want to be agile, I'm like, what does that mean? If he calls me and say, I have a client with a bunch of A2 teams, I understand what he means, more or less. He just said A2, so it's a shared language. And he said, I spoke to the CEO, and actually he wants to go to C3, and because they're just 50 developers, I think in like 3 months, we can convert them.
So we can be super clear.
We can be super clear where we are and when we want to be. So maybe we'll give you just a few minutes to try.
Before we do this, I
Yes.
want to answer your question.
C0?
C0, an example. So C0 example.
Single skill individual with a whole product focus.
So-
What the hell is this person?
Sorry, you say? Bus factor 1, absolutely. If I'm killed, we have a problem. But single skill with whole product focus.
Sorry, this is also bus factor 1. If I'm the only COBOL guy.
Well, they can call me.
Like all of these guys are kind of bus factors, but this is like a small bus, a big
So
bus.
whole product focus means that I really know the whole product. What if I am some kind of UX person who's responsible for the look and feel of the whole application, and I'm just overseeing that every button has the same kind of shape and
Johnny
color?
Ivory from Apple before he left, or like somebody
Yeah.
who understands the full thing.
How about the enterprise architect?
Phew.
Yeah. And they have a relationship to the people working, and they will, push those people with information on what they want them to do.
Actually, in the first versions of the Org Topologies map, we kind of put this 4x4, and we start to tell each other stories, like we would like to do. You do in a few minutes, like, hey, I had this client, where would I put them? And we identified mainly different team archetypes, and this box and that box were like empty. We're like, we don't know, maybe it's like a table, maybe we will discover that element, maybe not. But then after some time, like it took us about a year actually, in this work, like, so these are those people who sit somewhere alone in those ivory towers and send something to the teams, and they have a very big understanding of the problem, but they're not baked in the teams. So I guess there will be some dependencies between the teams. And these poor guys, this is a micromanaged team. This team can actually be given real problems, but it's not. Why? Who knows? Maybe they have a controlling manager.
Well, they have the KPIs of delivering
Maybe
20, whatever.
it's like outsourced component development, and those guys just need to maintain
We don't know.
So, yeah, we don't know, but actually, these days, we know all of them have places in the world.
So for your discussion, just find somebody who's next to you or you want to talk to. Yeah, well, then you have to find someone. Focus on where the people are that make the product, okay, that really do the coding work, okay? And then that's the most important part, actually, to pinpoint where they are.
And if you want to stand up and walk a little, let's do a little bit of a cocktail party discussion. We will interrupt you in 7 minutes.
And then we're here where you think you are. Yeah.
We have like good 50 minutes to go actually deeper. Anybody identified Y level?
Who's in a
archetype?
Y? Who's in a Y?
Who saw Y? Wise?
Yeah, you're wise? Wise? A little bit Y?
Yeah.
Yeah. Of course, you have all the boxes
That's
filled,
possible.
probably.
That's possible. We typically, what we typically do with people, we print it, or we actually have a Miro board you can use from our website, and then we ask people to name a team and put a dot.
So you get a marker, right? And you go like,
Don't do this on the wall. Yeah. So you have like a bunch of different teams, and then you might discuss, why this is there. So it's also interesting to see you have different kinds of teams. Yeah. A teams? Anybody
anyone?
saw A teams?
who's,
yeah.
who's
If
in
you
the A team? Yeah, the A team.
A stands for autonomous. Y stands for like, why?
But why are we doing this?
People can like, their potential is so much bigger than just be given tasks. So like, it's a bit of a joke. B and C, we will explain you what B and C is. It took us quite a while to actually understand how A and like lower and higher actually different. So hold your horses. If you think you saw B and C, maybe after explanation you like, oh no, it's maybe a little bit in the B, like one step in the B, but it's not like really B. So B will stand for business. and C will stand for
Customer.
customer. Or we just
Customer
making
need,
things
customer
up as we go,
problem.
but it doesn't really matter. Few more, some slides, right? So
Why is Yeti?
what was
Sorry?
that?
Why is Yeti?
Why is what?
Yeti.
Yeti.
Yeah, like this Yeti, Bigfoot teams. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Woo.
We have new options. I don't know if you've ever seen this, but these are the patterns that you can use in unFix.
Anybody heard about unFix? Jürgen Appelo?
Yeah, Jürgen Appelo. Right. Okay.
So like it's like a Lego. You can build any company you want, different teams, different types. Wow.
So this is good. This is potentially very good because it gives you all the elements and you can start building things. Okay?
If Safe gives you a package, which is hard to understand what is optional, what's not. Smart people can do this, but if you don't have experience, like, oh, what the fuck, I should do it, all of it. This is by design, like pick whatever works. But to be able to pick whatever works, you need to kind of have an understanding. What am I building? So that's where we believe Org Topologies can be helpful.
Yeah. This is another one. The do it by
Team
yourself.
Topologies, anybody heard? Team Topologies?
Team Topologies. Very popular these
If
days.
you didn't hear, don't bother. I mean, like I've just read a post from the owner, like a founder, creator of Org Topologies on LinkedIn. I follow him, and he's like, Amazon, like AWS teams, claim they do team topologies. I'm like, what this post actually means? What they did, they've listed essentially all possible teams you can have. Streamline teams is a team which like is given value, client value, and they build it. Of course, hopefully every company has these teams. Enable teams, they come and help. To disabled teams, but they come and help. Maybe they facilitate, maybe they do something complicated subsystem team.
Complex stuff. Nobody wants to do that.
Well, of course, there will be some smelly repositories nobody wants to touch. Like, of course, well, maybe the goal is to refactor, but now we need to do something, so let's put some developers so they abstract everybody from this garbage. I understand this. Platform team, yeah, we have so many different teams who need to all do authentication, so let's put authentication in a platform, and let's put, makes sense, right? So essentially, if you take a big company, like AWS, or this bank, or your company, you'll have all these teams.
yeah, of course. And it's
Because
easy.
there are no more other teams you can imagine.
No.
Like there's like males, females, children. Like, it's like a whole list. And now when he says AWS does team topologies, I'm like, duh. Of course they have all these types. So what's the change really? What are they doing?
So watch this. When I hear people say we're doing safe or we're doing team topologies or we're doing unFix or whatever, it's like we do Lego. Okay, so you're using building blocks to create
Yeah.
your organizational design.
But what are you building with Lego?
I want to know what you're building.
Are you building autonomous teams? Fantastic. We're happy for you. We can help you, or something else. Or you're building like a whatever else can there be.
Frankenstein.
Welcome, right? You can do it with Lego. You can do it with Team Topologies. You can do it with unFix. Fantastic.
Yeah, so this is where Org Topologies actually comes in. We think it's a very good step forward to have frameworks to help you scale your product development, but we think that these do-it-yourself frameworks, and now we picked on Team Topologies and unFix,
And there'll be more in the coming years. There's a
there is
market of
there is this danger
yeah.
that we are not ready to really use it properly because we don't have a vision on how we really should be organizing ourselves to deliver maximum value and to have ultimate adaptability. So when you use Team Topologies, please, pretty please, use the map to see where you are
And what you're building.
and what you want to go for.
So fantastic bricks, but you can build a monster or a nice building with them. Depends on your vision, on your skills, etc., etc., etc. But you can build different things from the same bricks.
So we're complementary.
Yeah, we are not against. We're not actually a framework. You said the framework It's not a framework, it's a map, it's a mapping, it's an approach. So we're not pretending to be a framework because we're not giving structures and direction. We're like, you can be anything, but please think what you want to be.
If you do or want to do Agile because you wanted to have that flexibility of the startup,
Yeah.
then this is a mapping that you can use to navigate towards that startup in a
Right.
larger constellation. Shall we go next?
Bull.
Oh, so this is it. Look, this is beautiful, isn't it? Thoughtful organizational development with a universal modeling language.
That's what
And-
Org Topology is.
Yeah.
There's a language, A2, B2, you already know it.
Yep.
After spending 7
You're
minutes,
experts.
yeah, you guys are already certified Org Topology experts, you know the language, but if you don't know where you're going,
Any road will get you there.
all will not get you there, but you will not care.
This is your CEO.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No,
Well, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm gonna jump.
Yeah, you have to skip a couple of them.
I know, no.
Yeah.
So, where I'm going? I'm going uncharted territory.
Yes.
How's my English today? Uncharted
Uncharted.
territory.
So remember, first Agile wave, making teams faster, understanding Agile, understanding the first principles of
Makes
scaling.
sense. We learned a lot.
Absolutely.
Go
But
in
now
there.
that we've learned all this, let's try to see what's out there. What is that? What is the company like when it's a B type of organization?
So let's unwrap that.
Ooh. Now,
Do we need this, or we will
no,
jump
that's
this?
a little bit too much detail.
Let's
for
jump
today.
to things. So you can you could map Team Topologies if you want. Like we did this exercise in the classroom with the participants. We teach like 2-day classes on this topic, and people said, well, according to the definition on the website, platform complex subsystem teams are these guys. They don't deliver customer value. They do something within components, probably. Enable teams, they have one skill they apply, they come with, so not cross-functional, single skilled. And streamline teams, probably here, maybe if you're lucky there. But this is typically
Yeah.
how we would classify Team Topologies with Org Topologies.
This would be Team Topologies, all right? And we propose, but that's not an endpoint. This is maybe your starting point. Your vision would be, maybe we want to have groups of people starting with stream-aligned teams and combining those stream-aligned teams that really focus on a part of the product that we sell, and then really have them work in collaboration instead of keeping teams isolated in separate sprints and separate scrum
Attention,
teams.
a very beautiful picture is coming.
Okay, show.
Wow.
Now you have to explain
I
it.
found this fantastic picture just by Googling. It's not our picture. Sorry for breaking any copyrights. And now if you click a few times,
Okay, I will click once.
this picture has all the key archetypes. This, I know, happy or poor guy, trying to paddle on his SUP. It's nice exercise, but he's alone. He cannot probably cross big lakes or not
That's why
ocean.
zero. He's an individual doing
He's an
stuff. He
individual.
cannot
So this is like a
solve-
symbol of a Y-level archetypes, and sometimes you have work that needs these people. Sometimes, alone you need to do something, so no problem with that. That yacht over there is like an individual team. Now it's like a few people working together, doing different things. Somebody is watching, somebody is navigating, somebody is washing. They do something, cooking. It's like example of an individual team. They can cross already significant distances together, maybe even an ocean if they are lucky.
Yes, maybe
But-
they can cross.
but
an
if they
ocean.
crash somewhere-
and the guy that needs to be steering all the time can have a nap because somebody else of the crew also knows how to do the steering.
Yeah, so
Right?
much more adaptive,
Yeah.
right? These guys are flotilla, how you say that? It's a fleet of yachts that actually have maybe a shared mission. Maybe they need to cross ocean together, Atlantic. Maybe not all yacht will actually make it through Atlantic, but hopefully they will help each other, and people from this yacht will go here, and somehow they will spread. Maybe they'll share diesel, food, fun, music, but essentially they are much more resilient, stable, and adaptive.
So what does this mean if we translate it back to
Yeah.
software development and agile teams? The individual teams are A-level Scrum teams. They operate on their own in isolation, relative isolation. They have their own product owner, product backlog, own sprint. And we need coordination on top of a framework maybe.
So I will pause you, like say like this. If you have an individual
Not too
team
long, eh?
in a company which has a backlog that this team owns, and typically a backlog owner who will, this would classify very much likely that constellation as a A-level. Individual team doing something from local perspective. B-level, and now you can unfreeze.
Yeah, I'm unfrozen.
Oh, I sometimes forget to do it, and then you yourself this. They need to share maybe the whole backlog or a vision, but they cannot be backlogs per team anymore. There should be a broader shared definition of product, work done, whatever you have it.
Where the team gets complexer problems to solve, such as features in comparison to the tasks at the Y level. The B level, where we work with teams of teams.
Or the C level.
Or the C level, that is a team of teams. People collaborate together synchronously on a sprint goal.
Like a shared sprint maybe they have in, yeah?
They
in a
refine together. 50 people, 100 people. They refine together. They plan together. Yes, it's possible. We see it happen.
They ship
We do it.
together.
They ship together.
They share code. So now a quick question. Anybody seen B?
B level?
Yeah.
Yay!
They are there.
It exists.
They're there. It's not common
Yet.
to see them yet, but we hope there will be more, and we hope we are helping for people to be aware. Actually, you can do it. The difference between B and C level would be if you have just one flotilla in a company, 5 teams, there will be a C level because there will be nobody else. These 5 teams will have to own the whole product. If you have different flotillas, that's for private banking flotilla team. This is for, what's the other banking?
Business banking.
Business banking.
Mortgages.
And they don't switch too much. They stay within their business domain because otherwise they will, they just, will not be able to learn so much of different things. If you have these multiple flotillas, this will be a B level because they will own what we call a sub-product or a sub-business or a sub-customer domain, sub from the whole.
Yeah. Makes sense? Right? Together we are a bigger brain and we can solve.
How does it look in a real world? How does these people function?
Next? It doesn't go next.
Yes, but I'll click. Yeah. Yeah, it's a good question. So let's discuss this. Yeah. What's the added value of flotillas, right? Is that the question? Yeah. Yeah, it's just this picture, maybe not communicate. Yeah. How would you guys say what is the benefit of high levels, B level?
But that's his question.
I know,
Okay.
but I'm coaching.
Again and again, predictability.
How?
How? Because if you have a set of a team is still a team.
Yeah.
And if we are focused on the product and one team cannot deliver the product, you have to have 2 teams.
Others can help. Or,
Others can help or simply take over a piece.
yeah.
So that if we want to have, for example, an increment every second week,
Yeah.
and one team cannot deliver something what is valuable for real for the end user, for a client,
Yeah.
user, whatever, then having a flotilla, so having this common mind, this one huge team, but split it into sub-teams.
Right. Yeah.
Then you have this predictability and the whole organization can deliver an increment, let's say every 2 weeks.
So I would say that the message is that you can deliver a bigger product.
You can deliver a bigger product?
Well, you can still deliver a big one with the small teams, you can say. So they will be.
Let me give an example of the benefits. In the A level, this is our classic example. Let's say that there is this online web shop kind of product that we make, and there's a search team. You can search the product catalog team, and then you see all the products that are there, and then you can order them in your shopping basket, third team. And then there's the checkout team for payments, okay? Let's just keep it there, 4 separate teams. Now, we need to keep on feeding search work to the search team because they only do search. That's a limitation. Because if search is not that interesting anymore, what are they going to do? They're going to do invented work, optimizing, migrating to some new Elasticsearch platform, whatever. Does the customer want that per se? Probably not. What if the challenge is that we need to work on customer retention? Make sure that the customer buys more often, all right? Stays with us. Then to implement customer retention or loyalty solutions, there is no customer retention team, guys. We would need to throw work at the search team, product catalog team, checkout, shopping basket. All of those teams will need to do a little bit to be able to create this journey for retention. So if we would have all those teams working together collaboratively on a customer retention backlog, in one sprint, they would be able to deliver some MVP on retention. As a group, collectively working together instead of asynchronously picking up work that might be one day delivered. Does that make more sense why the flotilla is stronger?
So essentially, you can say some more on that. If you have more teams working together, they become more interested for your stakeholders. Because one team on a sprint review shows little things they fixed, nobody's interested. If you have like 5 teams, 10 teams, we have clients, we have friends who work in companies where 15 teams work together as one team of teams. Well, this team of teams burn maybe 200,000 euros a sprint. As a stakeholder, wow. you really want to go to the sprint review and see how we are using this investment, right? So for stakeholders, it becomes more interesting. So business and IT can merge together in this unity. You have a radical transparency. You typically have one backlog, and you can really see how we are progressing. Before you had like 20 different backlogs, and everybody's busy, but nothing really happening. This allows you, it's another benefit, allows you to focus, right? Maybe this quarter search is a big topic, and maybe one team is not enough. We can focus more teams to do search.
At A level, Alexei was working in a team, and they were having their own little application they were working on. Mm-hmm. And I had my application I was working on. And now we're going to be merged together, and we're going to collaborate together. And I'm going to work in Alexei's code, and he's going to work in my code repository. The day that it's announced that somebody else is going to go in my repository, I'm going to make sure it's going to be a bit cleaner than it is now, because nobody understands the hell of what I've been building.
So it puts a little bit of pressure on engineers. Like if you know your code will be open now to everybody, you're like, oh, I'd rather clean that mess before it's too old.
So better engineering practices will emerge.
You have a way simpler organization because less backlogs, one product owner per group of teams. If you're doing Scrum for these teams, you can do something else as well. Typically, what we start seeing is that there's now flexibility between the teams because they all work as one big team. Sometimes they have these multi-team meetings. Sometimes they rotate team members. Sometimes these teams says, hey, we would like to take this item from the backlog, but we've never looked at that repository yet. Can we borrow Roland from that team? And you would join us for sprint, so you help us to learn that code.
There's much more learning.
More learning, much more fluidity. And developers actually find this very interesting environment where they learn more than before. There can be even more benefits. We're not particularly selling this. We don't care if you guys go back tomorrow to your companies and we don't want to be B. It's fine as long as it's a thoughtful decision. Better code reuse. Typically, if you have teams owning small repositories, you would typically see, okay, this team has function that converts, money or formats, strings of time in their repository, and that team had to do the same, so they do the same. Now that we have shared code, you're like, oh, this stuff does the same, so how about we extract it to a utility? So you actually start having these exchanges on how can we improve things globally. So 5 teams, 10 teams, they own bigger thing together, they start optimizing together in the code and also in the user interface.
But what you were saying is that in A-level team topologies, that would be a complex subsystem team handling stuff. Instead of here, the group itself will solve those complex
And
problems.
you might maybe still need a platform team somewhere on the side or a complex component team on the side. Maybe this repository is so old and so important and so it needs to be kept private.
Possibly.
Possibly.
It's all
But at least now it's a decision. Maybe there will be this complex subsystem team Y2, Y3, but other teams can be B and C, but then you need to figure out how you make sure those guys are not blocked by these people with some interfaces and stuff, right? So go back a little bit into this picture, right? So people who we see working in these companies who we would classify as high-level archetypes, these are the same people who were there before the change with Y and A archetypes. Same people, same two hands, same brain. So people can actually do this, and typically people like it if they actually understand this change, if it was explained, it was not put on them. I helped the company to go from essentially Y2 to C3. A company of 50, 60 developers can just jump these levels. So you don't need to go step by step. You can just jump there. We know companies who go a little bit step by step. And we actually recommend this step-by-step approach is if that BNC sounds super scary to you. So a bit of a stairway to
be heaven.
To be heaven. So lower archetypes here. Lower archetypes, that's where there is asynchronous dependency management. What that means? That means if a team, if there's a complex workflow, like a search, checkout, basket, payment, needed to be implemented, and you have these different teams for checkout, search, basket, they will not do this likely in one sprint. They would typically say, hey, how about we let the first team do the catalog, and when it's there, now in our sprint, we're going to do checkout. And after checkout is done, hey, that team over there, could you please start working on that? Because it's like easier. So this is an example of asynchronous dependency management. And it makes sense from the team's local point of view. I'd rather know how it works there before I do my part. But if you guys are stakeholders in this company, you see it takes half a year for this feature to be implemented. Costly, slow, etc., etc., etc.
Too late.
Too late. So these high archetypes, they try to do things synchronously. So some of you who thought before that you are in a B and C level, attest, right? Do teams work in the same cadence, in the same sprint, at the same time on the same things? If yes, this is a this will be a characteristic of a high-level archetype. If two teams will take one problem and solve it synchronously together, like in one sprint they did it, wow, without waiting for each other, just maybe joining forces. This will be a signal, oh, they're high archetype. But you need to start somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So step one would be?
There might be some problem that needs to be fixed, an incident that would be an opportunity to say like, hey team, you will not be able to fix this problem on your own. It would make sense because there's this sense of urgency, we need it fast, that we maybe just to solve this problem, two teams will collaborate to see if we can, together understand and in 1 or 2 sprints collaborate and really together in the sprints try to fix that problem. This is like when there is urgency, that's a way of introducing actually higher archetype level kind of behavior.
Yeah, so you still have like your A-level teams, but for time being, for this project, you put them together and maybe for 2 months, they work as one unit.
Yep.
After the project is done, they're like, gosh, they go back to their thingy. But it's an experience.
Exactly.
Of how this B-level tastes. Step 2, well, maybe you've done this project and you're like, hey, well, after this project, there will be another one, and it's the same 5 teams who actually need to be working together. You're like, hey, maybe these teams have something in common. Maybe we stop doing this project work. Maybe we just give those 5 teams like some shared goals. Put them in one domain, business unit, tribe, product group.
At least make it more official.
Make
they
it
kind of
more
belong
official
together.
that these 5 teams actually need to work together. They still might have their own backlogs and
Yeah.
product owners and sprint, but at least they gave them shared goals, so maybe they start collaborating more often.
Yeah, but don't just change the name.
Don't just change the name. Maybe keep the same names.
Right.
Yeah.
We don't necessarily say you need to follow the steps, but if that level like sounds super scary, you can experiment. It's about experimenting, right? The next step would be,
Well, you know, to people complaining our sprint reviews, nobody shows up at the sprint review. So when you're a Scrum Master or Agile coach and you want to help your teams to improve the people that come to the sprint reviews, you might want to consider to do a joint sprint review of a couple of teams and show the integrated product of those teams together. That will attract more attention of
Yeah.
stakeholders because they will see what the return is on the total money invested on those teams.
not just have shared goals, but let them do things independently, but rather say, okay, you have shared goals, and now let's share process.
Yeah.
And here frameworks like less, fast come into place, where they help us, Scrum Masters, learn how to facilitate these multi-team events so they're not boring and really like super active workshops where 50 developers and stakeholders can collaborate very nicely on a problem or an increment. The next level that we've identified would be this one. They shared some meetings and now they like it. They Scrum Masters learned how to do it. They've learned how to share code. Typically, in my experience, that might take about half a year. With like 50, 60 developers, like 7, 8 teams, in about half a year of
But then you
actually
are
of actually doing this thoughtfully,
Yeah.
you can help people start liking that new style of work. And then they say, hey, how about we share everything? Food, clothes,
We could even-
code, cadence.
Wives. Did you say wives?
Yeah, but shared code doesn't really mean that
Yeah.
you take ownership.
Agree. Yeah, so it's not enough, but also continuous integration now shared. When somebody is broke something, it's not their problem. It's like everybody's problem. So you need to integrate more often. It becomes, a fruitful space for discussing engineering practices and building communities of improving your architecture.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Happens. I saw this. I saw 6 teams who would have like a shared sprint, and before they start a sprint, they would actually discuss which team goes now for the whole sprint
Yeah.
to do bug fixing, and they would rotate this role.
And in combination with being the first team to pick up on
Yeah.
operational
So
problems.
yeah, it is possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we rotate that. So there's also more opportunities to share the responsibility and really be dedicated to just fulfill the regular stuff that was normally only in the hands of maybe one team.
Does that sound interesting?
Imagine if you're in an organization where they do safe. It might be that your current Agile release train actually has a couple of teams that now work independently and do a PI planning every once in a while, try to align on the coming quarter. Instead of just aligning and everybody going away again after the PI and do their own thing, maybe, we can try some of these B-level kind of archetypes to synchronize more and collaborate more on fixing the problems, on building the stuff. It's not that far away if you already have this Agile release train, unless they kind of went like with throwing with darts to put teams together and turn it into an Agile release train.
Yeah. But the idea is not to implement something new because we told you so. The idea is to kind of understand what you would like to be, what is your direction of org development, what you like to experiment with. You don't need to convert all teams into B and C. If you like this idea, you might want to try and experiment with this couple of teams and see how this goes.
So I've seen mappings with organizations about talking about what kind of move they wanted to make. For instance, they wanted to move people that were here, who were getting too autonomous and not adhering to certain standards, to move back.
Oh,
Yes, because then there would be more control over the overall UI. They were not allowed to do UI anymore, so they created a dependency to make sure that the team was, going to comply to the company rules.
as long as it's not a random decision of a manager reacting to a problem, but they put some thoughts into that, whichever move is fine.
At least you can make visible, like, okay, so there's an other optimizing goal that is more important, UI consistency, in comparison to becoming more adaptive.
So a call to action, next time somebody tells you, over their dinner, hey, we're doing Agile transformation, or we're doing team Topologies. You open the website, or you sketch, on the table, the map, and say, okay, like where your teams are. Boom, there. Where do you want them to be? There. Ah, okay, so this is what you mean by Agile. And maybe the people say, oh, actually, no, we mean this. So, and then you see these discrepancies in what they think they do and what they are actually doing. So just a thinking tool with some visual elements. And so far, we got very positive feedback that this visual language helps people to just have better discussions. Question, please.
Yes, I observe a little bit of a contradiction here. Because on the one hand, you say that whichever direction that makes sense we follow is fine. But then you also think like, okay, this is the direction that we should be taking.
Not should be.
Not should be, but
we think that if you adopted Agile as a concept, you did this for a reason. Not just to be Agile. You want to be Agile to be able to respond faster to the market, to be able to
be more adaptive,
to be more adaptive,
to be resilient eventually.
So if we look at the ultimate adaptive type of organization, and then maybe you find out by mapping yourself, although you thought you wanted this, by mapping yourself you can find out actually that's not what we're doing.
So there's no really contradiction. We don't care what company is building because they'll be building whatever they want eventually. But we also have this second mission of show people that this is possible and this is cool. And we're currently writing case studies with several companies who we believe are there, so that people actually learn, oh, this is possible. Because for many people, it's like, no, autonomous teams is the best you can have. We're Agile, we're done.
That's cool.
Whoa, no, there's whole lot
But
of...
if they want this, I mean, then it's thoughtful organization design. They have a reason. They want to be reliable. They want to be robust. They want to be predictable. That's all fine.
Right.
But then don't pretend to be Agile. Okay?
Or that's the definition of Agile, whatever.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah.
Please?
Sir?
I have two questions.
Ooh.
You can only have one because there's another question over there. And if there's no other question, then you have the second, okay?
I can come back later to the second one. So first one is, like this is a framework for thinking where do we want to go, where we are, where we want to go.
Yeah.
Exactly.
To draw a map of our transformation.
Yeah.
Do you have it mapped somehow, like, okay, imagine we want to go to B2, for example. Do you have mapped some practices? Okay, what might be like helpful to try to do to be more V2, like?
Yeah.
Because when you were describing, you already were saying, okay, less is somewhere here, yeah. Scrum is somewhere here. So maybe you already have some guidelines. Okay, if we already know where we want to go, so what should we try to do to go there?
Mm-hmm.
We have a video course that we, of course, want you to buy.
Watch out, is commercial message ahead.
Now, we're actually super busy because we are recording a video course, 3+ hours of us, if you like this style.
Rolex Fleminsky.
Yeah, where we actually try to kind of explain everything we've learned so far. If you want it, this is QR code. This is a 30% discount, Agile_Warsaw, if you want it. There, we kind of try to go into practices But essentially, we know it's not enough, so we are writing a book, and there will be more.
But you can find a lot of
But
it on the website.
if we have time,
as well.
I just don't know if we have time to go into these details. But there will be nothing you didn't hear from Les or Fast. So the practices, we're not inventing them; we are collecting them. So like a multi-team refinement meeting would be one of these practice, where you would gather multiple teams together to actually work across teams to understand like a bigger problem of a customer or a goal. That would be one practice. Going from product owners assigned to teams to one strategic product owners, and those team level product owners joining the teams as team members or becoming product managers will be another practice. So sharing a sprint together, actually maybe forgetting of small teams and saying, hell, all of us are one team. This is work on a backlog. Who wants to work with whom? And people just meet, and there's like a marketplace for work. This is something we see a lot these days, like a shared marketplace for work.
Yeah.
This will be like number 4 practice. So nothing you didn't hear of before if you were exploring this space, essentially.
Yeah, my question is, I still have the feeling that B level and higher is like for not big population, for like 5 teams, 6 teams, etc. Do you have any? Is it still less type ceremonies for numbers of people, like 100,
Yes.
200 people, etc.? So
Well, we still need to see how big B can be.
Well, less huge is bigger than 50 people.
Well, we talk with the PandaDoc, we talk with Ysoft, we talk with some other companies, and they were able to kind of scale a B level to maximum I've heard was like 15 teams working together. It's like maybe 5, 6 people. These days,
5, 6 people.
the tendency is to create smaller teams. Because with AI, Chat,
teams,
GPT, you can actually be more cross-functional with less people. So it's about 50, 60 people can nicely work in this B level.
In one B level group, but
Yeah.
you can have multiple B level groups. Yeah. So, and the B level group should be pretty autonomous and deliver real customer value. It should be so valuable that it has their own profit and loss, maybe a leadership team, and if the company sees a good buyer, they just take it out and sell that stuff, right? There you go.
Right.
So if you can separate pretty well, also code base wise and all that, so it's
And then
not
another
easy.
question: is your B level a fixed department with management, hierarchy, and teams are fixed, or your B levels are fluid, dynamic constellation where maybe from time to time teams will go to another B? Because that becomes more important. Will also depend how fluid or fixed those B levels are, and we see different patterns. In some teams, in some companies, this will be like fixed departments. In some companies, it will be more fluid, like requirement areas in less huge. It's like a company within a company. It's like a team of teams within a broader
Multiple
thing.
startups in the company,
Yeah.
please. Yeah.
At some moment, very transparency and openness in the organization, which is not really very open. It is worth to ask about the definition of product. And sometimes, this discussion, it will occur that as a matter of fact, you have 2 products. In Allegro case, it was a case of we have a shop, Allegro, a market, and payment method, and they have distinguished it as 2 products. They have made this decision, consciously. And having that, then you can have 2 separate C-level teams, because you have 2 different products.
Last question, and we see people need to.
And then if there's more questions, you can come to us personally.
You presented it. I can see that your willingness that we should kind of diagnose using this map where we are and get.
Yes.
And then try to get there.
Or decide to stay where we are.
Yeah, but it seems that in bigger organizations, big change on the map is quite costly. So what do you think about doing this like step by step? Like
We encourage to do this.
to the right or one step up and see if it solves our problems.
It's even a little bit more than that. Not just one step to go slow, but take a very small part of the company and try to do maybe a couple of steps towards B.
Learn, experiment.
Learn, and then when that works with 3 teams, proof of concept, then make it bigger to 5 teams and show the people up there, wow, we're suddenly delivering stuff every 2 weeks, completely integrated. This is like...
On the other hand, you can say the otherwise. You can say, well, it's actually costly to go step by step. Why don't we just have these 5 teams work like in 3 months on the 1st of February in one shared environment? And I help few companies to do this. They decided it's worth the investment, and what can go wrong? They still, work needs to be done, the same developers, same code base. So in the worst case, there will be a little bit of chaos, but you can manage that.
I was doing a transformation for one of the Dutch banks in Holland. It's about 4,000 people working there. I think 2,500 in development.
Wow.
But this, so on paper, okay, the idea that we had was B-level, kind of 12 B-levels, groups. And we prepared the flip to do the whole company on one day. Why? Because it was too costly to create systems inside the organization for audit, whatever, to sustain both old and new.
But it's not really recommended to change so much in one.
And it didn't work, by the way. But still, that was the idea. Like, it's going to be too expensive to keep.
So sometimes it's cheaper to change and say to everybody, "Hey, we all need to learn how to, work in this new world." With 50, 60 developers, I actually recommend to change it in one go, and then in 3 months, add another 50 developers. You can actually incrementally grow this. Yeah, we think we should let you go. People watching, checking the times, so whatever. I think it's the signal.
If there's more questions, we're here still for a couple of minutes, so please.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for your attention.